MVP.
Renters do every day. It's always been that way for me. Always been a get better mentality every day, grow every day, be a better leader every day, be a better quarterback every day. And when that rent's due, I don't plan on missing no payments. So.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 3 in the Keystone, episode 88. It's myself and Al Ryan right now. Chris is going to join us later in the show. I think it was not a back-to-school night. What do you say, parent-teacher conferences tonight?
Yeah, he said it was conference night. And listen, I'm going to let you in a little insider info here, Adam. No teachers want a conference with – or no parents want a conference with the leadership teacher. So he might be listening live right now in his classroom.
Chris, if you're there, say something in the chat.
Well, he didn't, but look who did. We got Diversa checking in. If anyone speaks positive of the Sixers team, I'm going to vomit.
So there's no Sixers on the agenda tonight, but Diversa, while you say it, let me just say this. Fuck Tobias Harris. I've defended him for years. What he's doing out there is abysmal. I cannot wait to have that guy off of this team. I cannot wait. That's it. That's it. All I need to get off my chest. Feel better.
It's reaching Simmons level. It's getting bad.
And it's the effort.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I'm done. I'll save it for another day. There's plenty of time.
He doesn't want to be out there. He doesn't want
plenty of time to vent. All right, episode 88. There's a lot of different options, but I got to go with a guy that we talked about a few weeks ago. I got to go Eric Lindros.
Yeah, Putsy. Oh, yeah, it's got to be Lindros.
I also had guest boy Marvin Harrison, alleged murderer.
I was going hockey. I went Patrick Kane.
Patrick Kane's a good one. Cowboy Michael Irvin.
How about Bubba Franks?
Bubba Franks. And I got a good one. Guest boy from back in the day. You probably don't remember this. Luther Broughton.
Oh, Luther. I do remember Luther Broughton.
Well, he was a big Luther Broughton guy.
I got one more for our Delco affiliates and Diversa in the chat. Bonner's own Anthony Becht.
Bonner's own, baby. All right, gents. We are also in March, and we teased a little March Madness pool. So, Al, I'm going to let you lead the way into what we have planned for March.
Yeah, so some of you that are listening to this might have already known me in the past for running my Ball Don't Lie March Madness bracket pool, which this year will be its 12th year in existence. So what started out as just a couple dozen guys that, we didn't really have anybody that was running a reliable pool where we collected the money and all that stuff. I figured, let me be the guy to start it. And 12 years later, here we are. I'm regularly getting over 200 entries. It's $20 for an entry, $40 for 3. If you're interested, send an email to 3inthekeystone@gmail.com. That's all one word, all written out. 3inthekeystone@gmail.com. I'll get you on the list. I'll send you all the information as far as rules, as far as payment. Adam, the one thing that I prefer greatly about this pool is that there is a bonus. There is an incentive system for picking upsets, which if you do your pool through like ESPN, they don't have that option. So that's the reason why I've actually done it through CBS Sports for its entire existence. And the way it works, just to keep it short here, is that you get the points of the seed added to your win each round. So if you pick a 10 seed over a 7 seed, you get 10 extra points for that win. And then if you pick the 10 seed again in the next round, you get another 10 points for that win. So picking correct upsets can really benefit you. And you don't necessarily have to get the champion right if you get a lot of those first and second round games right.
I like that. I like that idea. It changes things up. It encourages you to pick some upsets and take some risk. I'm into it.
Yeah. So excited to have some more people on board. Last year, the winner was this guy. Rode UConn all the way to the title. So I'll be looking to defend that and possibly be the end of the pool, because I don't know who would enter the pool if the guy who runs it won 2 years in a row.
Yeah, it looks a little shady when that happens.
Not good.
I did so I did my Survivor pool. I didn't advertise it, but basically the show Survivor, everybody picked out a random person. I picked all the names out, and you got that random person, and my guy was the first guy eliminated. It's almost like a breath of fresh air
Yeah,
when that happens.
You got to do you video that? Do you take a video of you picking the names out and make that available just in case?
My wife is also in the pool, and she is a model of integrity. So I told the people that my wife was also in the room and picked the names out, and if anybody had a problem with it, you could take it up with her. And at that point, there were no fighting at that point.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, let's get into it. Al, NFL free agency technically not open yet. I mean, here's my first issue. So this period that we're in is called legal tampering, which is a complete oxymoron. And I don't understand why don't they just open to its free agency?
Yeah, so none of these quote unquote deals are like inked to paper yet, right? They're not
right. They're just agreed upon.
Okay.
So I don't understand why it's a legal tampering period. But the Eagles have made some noise, and they've made even more noise in this evening tonight. But the big deal, obviously, it started with the extension for Landon Dickerson, 4 years, $84 million, followed up by the signing of Saquon Barkley, one of your boys from Penn State, Al, 3 years, $38 million. Huff, 3 years, $51 million. And then today they add Devontae Parker, as well as the return of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. It seems like Howie is in his bag, making moves. Let's start with Saquon, because that's the headliner of all moves. Give me your reaction when they make the move, when you hear the announcement that they're signing Saquon Barkley.
I've been saying for weeks that I want it as a selfish Penn State fan. I want to see him in Eagles green. I want to get to root for him because as a Penn State fan, you could see it all his last year at Penn State that it was leading up. The Giants were awful. They were going to get a top pick. Saquon was so heralded as this amazing home run hitter running back, and you just knew he was going to end up in that ugly Giants blue, and he didn't. It just really made me sick for the last 6 years. So getting him is more of a selfish, I'm happy about it. He is still, I think, a home run hitter type back. He's a good pass blocker. He's a better receiver than he got to show in New York. Let's be honest. He played with garbage his entire career so far in New York. He's only 27, which I know for a running back, that is a little bit elevated. 27 is more like a 31 or a 32 at that position. But I do still think he can contribute. He was out basically all of 2020. So realistically, he's got 35 touchdowns in 5 seasons. The Eagles threw the third fewest screens to running backs. I believe it's in the last 4 seasons combined. So he can help out in that area as well as far as spreading the ball, opening up the field a little bit. The biggest thing that's going to drive Eagles fans crazy, and it drove me crazy as a Penn State fan, is he loves to dance around in the backfield and not hit the hole. He's going to lose 3, 4, 5 yards on like a first down, a second down, and you're just going to be asking yourself, why did we sign this guy? And he's going to do that multiple times a game. So just get ready for it. But I promise you, again, even in his old age and even with the injury history, he will break off that 40-yard run, 60-yard run, 70-yard run. That you know what I mean? It's at a good time in the game where the Eagles need it. So you got to take the good with the bad with Saquon. I don't love the deal money-wise. I think it's a little bit too much to pay a running back. I was hoping that they would go a little bit cheaper and then go to the draft. But again, as a fan, as a Penn State fan, I like the deal.
Some really good points there. And as far as dancing in the backfield, we had a running back that used to dance in the backfield a lot, and he may be the best running back in team history.
That's true.
I like the move as a whole. In a vacuum, I like the idea because I'm a big fan of zigging when everybody's zagging. And we've talked many times here about the workhorse running back and what it can mean to a quarterback to have a guy that you can turn around and say, you're getting the ball 22 times today. We're going to turn around and we're going to hand you the ball, and how that can help the development of a quarterback. And I think for a guy like Jalen Hurts, after the year he had, this team and this organization said, we may need to go back and rely on our running game and let Jalen be the supplement to all of that. And I think that's where the thought process comes in with here. Again, Saquon's pedigree is he's an elite level running back. Will we see it? I don't know. That's the part. Again, the idea may be better than the execution. You mentioned he's 27 years old now. In 2 of the last 3 years, he's been under 4 yards per carry. Now, again, it's the Giants' offensive line, which was 32nd or 31st in the league in run blocking compared to the Eagles, which is a top 5 unit.
And it's Daniel Jones at quarterback or Tommy Cutlets at quarterback. There's absolutely no one that you have to worry about on that Giants team on offense except for him.
Correct. As far as a workload, he's only averaged 200 yards or 200 carries per season thus far in the NFL. But you have to add in the fact he carried a large workload at Penn State. He got a lot of run at Penn State.
Oh, yeah.
So he's got some baggage on those legs, I would say. I think his injury concerns are a little bit overblown. He hasn't played an entire season since his rookie year, but he's played 13, 16, and 14 games in the last 3 years. So, he's seemed to get over that durability piece. It's just going to be, if you put him behind this offensive line, are we going to see the Saquon Barkley that everybody believed he would be coming out of college? And if he is, he's a game changer on this offense because there's only so many eyes that can go around. And when you have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, and now you have Saquon Barkley in the backfield, there's a lot. That's a lot to worry about. And like you said, for the Giants, all eyes are on Saquon the entire time.
Right.
So as far as a price tag, yeah, it is, the 13 million or 12.6 million, whatever it was. Is it steep? Yeah, but DeAndre Swift got 8.
Right.
So it's not, at the end of the day, like he's an upgrade from DeAndre Swift, who I'm not a big fan on. I will be interested to see if they get him involved in the passing game. You mentioned the screens. Jalen Hurts has not really shown a propensity to throw the ball to running backs. I do think that's going to be part of what Kellen Moore wants to do on this team. And Saquon caught 90 balls as a rookie, so he definitely has the ability to catch the football out of the backfield. So it's a signing I like in theory. We'll just have to see what the performance is at this point.
The time is now. I think it's universally agreed upon that the money's a little steep. But if this team's going to win a championship, it's got another one. It's got to be within the next 4 or 5 years if they're going to do it with the way this offense is built, with the way it's put together. I know we're about to talk about another signing, the re-signing on the offensive line. So these are all pieces that we're trying to maximize our $250 million quarterback. And so if you're going to do that, I mean, you have to do that in the backfield up front. You have to give him as much help as you can if you think he's going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Correct. All right, let's talk on to Bryce Huff. They had him as, a pass rusher from the New York Jets, 27 years old, the highest paid undrafted non-quarterback in NFL history after this deal. Again, listen, you and I are football fans. I'm not sure how much Bryce Huff we've seen, but just give me your thoughts on the signing all in there.
I mean, it opens the door to releasing Hassan Reddick and or Josh Sweat. So I think that's the obvious next domino that's going to fall. If I would get to guess. I mean, look, he had 10 sacks this past season. From everything I understand about this kid, they moved him to that edge rusher position, just let him kind of, go target the quarterback, and he kind of went haywire. So maybe they found something up there in New York as far as what he's good at, and they're going to harness that down here in Philly. And I can't tell you much more about the guy. It just looks like he's a pure edge rusher, so somebody that's going to create havoc in the backfield. If that's the case, I love it because that's how the Philadelphia Eagles play football. They get down the third of the quarterback with the front four. So if he can do that, that's fine by me, and he better be able to with the money we paid him.
Yeah, absolutely. He seems to be an analytics darling. He had 10 sacks last year, but his win rate was extremely high. I think it was second in the league only to Micah Parsons. 21 quarterback hits is tremendous. Like you said, he seems to be a guy who can really rush the passer. The only downside is last year was really the only year that he showed out and became a productive player. He only played 42% of the snaps for the Jets last year, so he really hasn't been, pushed into that role. Reddick and Sweat are both 71, 72% of the snaps. So I do think they're going to need Nolan Smith to also step up and be a part of that rotation this year. And the only other thing I get a little concerned about, and again, I haven't seen a ton of the guy, is I worry about pass rushers that play on teams with really good secondaries because there can be that extra second or two that's needed to get to the quarterback. And by all means, the Jets have one of the best secondaries in the league. So it'll remain to be seen what he can do. Again, from an analytic perspective, he looks really good. He looks like he can play the part. But it does look like they'll lose Reddick and or Sweat, hopefully just one of the two moving forward. I'm not really sure which one. I initially thought it would be Reddick, but it seems like Josh Sweat's been putting out some cryptic stuff on his Instagram. So I think we all would agree that we'd rather keep Reddick if possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you say that about the Jets and their secondary being, helping out the front four, where I think this signing is trying to do the opposite of that, where we're trying to get the front four to help out the secondary. Because I think the secondary, obviously, in Philadelphia, we need all the help we can get right now.
Speaking of help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Breaking news. A few hours ago, the return of C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who really trashed the city and the people of the city when he left last year to go to Detroit for a season, but now he is welcome back. And listen, nobody in this city is going to remember a thing that he said after the way the secondary played last year.
Right.
It doesn't matter. If it's not like the secondary was great and he came groveling back, we need all the help we can get. You said it himself. A little bit of a wild card, a little bit of a wild man out there, but he's a ball hawk. And we talked all year about how unathletic they were on that back end. And he brings that athleticism back. 3 years, $33 million. It's a welcome signing. The secondary was so bad last year.
So bad. And he's a steady hand. He's reliable. I say it all the time about Reed Blankenship. I think the dude overestimates himself and his athleticism a little bit, relies on his instincts a little too much. Sidney Brown just didn't seem like he was ready yet, which is understandable. So I think to have a guy back there that you can rely on to make a play, to not go, ball hawking at the wrong time, I think that's going to really help the corners and in turn really help the linebackers, which we know they need all the help they can get.
Well, they haven't upgraded that spot. So we'll have to see where they go from there. By all indications from what I've seen on Twitter, they are not done. So shout out to Howie, who I know there was a large increase in the salary cap this year, which has allowed a lot of teams to go out and spend some money. But for Howie to be able to add all these people after the contract that Hurts signed, shout out to him. And I think the thing is they're going to pay the bill later. So like you said, this is the window.
I don't know if you saw it on social. I just saw it right before the show. Somebody made a Sam Presti highlight reel, like mixtape, like they do for for players. They made one of all the drafts and all the trades that he made in Oklahoma City. Somebody's got to do one for Howie. I don't want to crown him already. Obviously, we got to see how it plays out this season. But the dude cooks. He really does, man. He really just understands how to make moves, how to work the system as far as the cap goes. He just cooks.
Yeah, listen, he owns the cap. Howie owns the cap. That's all I'll say.
He's a magician, dude.
We'll have to we'll see if the moves pay off, but he's definitely opened up the space to make those said moves. The one other move that I want to just touch on briefly was Devontae Parker. I did think this was comical. Let me pull up my notes here. Give me 1 second.
He's old, right? He's in his 30s.
Not as old as you think. He was with Teddy Bridgewater at Louisville.
All right.
So, but he's always been a guy who has great hands, can make the acrobatic catch, but cannot get great separation. Excuse me there. So in 2020, out of 132 receivers, where do you think he ranked in regards to separation based on next gen stats?
After you told me that, 130?
132. In 2021, out of 127 receivers, where do you think he ranked?
Wait, and what?
Out of 127 receivers in 2021, where do you think he ranked?
127?
127. In 2022, out of 122 receivers, where do you think he ranked?
122. The dude's on a burner.
122. In 2023, out of 115 receivers, 115th. He is the worst receiver in the league as far as getting separation, but he does have the ability to high point a football. I'm just curious because he plays outside. Devontae's played outside. AJ's played outside. I would guess it's Devontae going to move to the slot.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And I like seeing AJ in the slot every now and then, man, running slants inside.
So we'll have to see how. He can't be worse than Quez, right?
Well, so if you noticed, I had him third to last in separation this past season because I was thinking the two guys he probably had beat were Quez and Olamide Zaccheaus.
Maybe Julio.
There's no way he qualified for any stats.
He can't. So listen, the offseason has just begun. The draft is coming up. Diversity.
Wait, are we just going to gloss over the Dickerson re-signing? Because that to me is the most important. That's the most important move of the offseason.
That's the most important one, you think?
That's the most important. The one thing that this franchise gets right is prioritizing the offensive and defensive lines, and they draft well, they develop well, and then they sign well. And as we said earlier about Saquon Barkley, they have to do everything they can to maximize his potential and get him back to being the MVP candidate quarterback that we saw 2 seasons ago. So re-signing a Landon Dickerson, man, that when you're losing your best center of all time, I don't think you can underestimate or understate how important of a signing that was.
Yeah, no, you're right, and we shouldn't have blown over it. But he becomes the highest paid guard in the league at 4 years, $84 million. I think maybe a slight overpay, but you're trying to get yourself locked in there. I think he did lead the league in holding penalties on running plays last year. But I mean, he's still a very, very good offensive lineman. I think he's in the top 10 as far as guards go. So you're right. I mean, you lose a Jason Kelsey, and you can't afford to lose anybody. Not that he's not up for another year or two, but you need to make sure you lock in that young core, especially when you have Lane, who's probably only got 1 or 2 more years left in the tank as well. You want to make sure you solidify the Jordan Mailata, the Landon Dickersons, the Cam Jurgens, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, with him there, it just makes Mailata and Jurgens' lives that much easier, because as good as Mailata has shown to be, he's still raw. He still makes mistakes at times. And Jurgens, we don't know what we're going to get this season out of him at center. So just having that steady hand, I think, in between them will help the line as a whole.
Diversa says we're going O-line in the first round. Bank on it. I don't disagree. We talked about that before. Wouldn't be surprised if they drafted a tackle who could play guard initially and then swing out there once Lane's gone. All right, here's the burning question now. Are the Eagles better after what we've just experienced over the last 2 days compared to where they were last year?
I think they're better more because of the coordinator situation than the players. They're better because of the guys that are going to be up in the box calling the plays. You're telling me that we're out on Matt Patricia and Sean Desai and Brian Johnson, then we're golden, man. We're better just because of that. If you're talking about the players, is Saquon Barkley an upgrade over DeAndre Swift? I don't know, man. Like that, they're pretty close. Yeah, I get it. And we just watched 16 or 17 games, of DeAndre Swift and avoiding tackles, and that kind of, running out of bounds. But again, I just being someone that has seen Saquon Barkley again, first down, 2-yard loss, second down, stopped at the line, third down, 1 yard. Like I've seen that story for so long. Whereas DeAndre Swift, he's capable of, he averaged what, 5.6? What did he average last season?
Yeah, but he left a lot of yards out there, I felt like.
I agree with that. Look, I don't know, man. Like
I think you mentioned Barkley's
either.
big playability. Swift, never. I think he could take those 20-yard runs that Swift had and turn them into touchdowns.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing.
Yeah. Look, I don't know, man. We lost our center. I don't know. Is this team better? Sure.
I had that. I didn't think they improved until tonight when they signed Gardner Johnson as well. I'll put it as neutral at this point because, again, they haven't really lost anybody in free agency, but you said it best. They lost a first-team All-Pro on the offensive line. They also lost Fletcher Cox, who is retired, and while Fletcher's not the player he was 6, 7, 8 years ago when he was one of the best defensive tackles in the league, he played a role last year, especially when those other guys kind of fell off at the end of the year, the young guys. He was in there getting a lot more snaps than he had in the past. A lot will come down to whether or not they have to move Reddick or Sweat in this deal, right?
Well, not only that, but and we have to have a segment on this with like our worry factor or like the put up or shut up time for some of these guys. I mean, look, it's time. It's time to Kobe Dean. It's time Jordan Davis. It's time Nolan Smith. Like the clock moves fast in the NFL, and you guys got to produce.
Yeah, 100%. Those are the guys that, Diverse mentioned Howie's drafting. Those are the guys that we gave Howie all the credit in the world on for drafting because we thought they were steals. And they haven't played up to their potential at this point. So It's just a matter of, and even Jalen Carter, he was great in the first half last year, but he completely fell off the map. He lost Defensive Rookie of the Year. He was minus 20,000 after week 10 to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, didn't win it.
Yeah.
He fell, and I don't think he's going to be a problem, but he's got to figure it out because something happened at the end of the year. It happened to the whole team, so you can't just point fingers at him, but he was a part of it.
Yeah. I'm glad we got a lot of time before this all starts up.
I know. But we're going to be talking a lot more Eagles because we ain't going to be talking Sixers, that's for sure.
That's true. They're banned.
That was all I had. Any other? We're not going to talk NFL free agency in segment 2. Any other observations there? Just in
I mean,
general?
I would just love to see an upgrade at linebacker or corner somehow, some way, whether it's the draft or free agency. Something's got to happen.
Nothing around the league that caught your eye other than outside the Eagles?
Dude, you know how little attention I've been paying to the NFL hot stove?
I was shocked at the amount of running backs and how fast they went off the board. Austin Eckler moves, Joe Mixon moves, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss. There's Aaron Jones.
Yeah, where'd Jacobs go? He went somewhere, right?
Jacobs went to Green Bay.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Jones went to Minnesota.
Tell you what, dude, we talked about the end of last season, Green Bay jumping the Eagles. That's a nice signing for them.
I don't know if Jacobs is better than Aaron Jones. I like Aaron Jones.
I bet Aaron Jones enough in player props to know that he also left a lot to be desired.
DeVersa said it, bet Derrick Henry to Baltimore. Is that not a perfect fit? Derrick Henry, good point that happened today. Cousins to Atlanta, like you said last week. A big deal for him. Kirk has got some bags, dude.
Yeah, dude. That was a lot of money. What do you make, 150 or something?
$45 million a year for 4 years, so almost 200. Good for him, man. Off of 35 coming off an Achilles.
Unbelievable. Maybe they can stop shopping at Target every week now.
Justin Fields still out there on the market. Did see the Eagles may be interested.
Yeah, and as I said in the text, I can't believe that they're going to bring him in to back up Tanner McKee. He takes the Ian Book role.
Somebody's got to hold the clipboard, man. All right, that's it for segment 1 tonight. So hopefully the Eagles make a couple more supplemental moves along the way. But Al, we talked about in the pre-show that it's March. And March Madness is known for upsets. And I wanted to throw at you and have a little fun here. Just some this or that. I want you to make a pick. And I kind of want you to – I got an underdog and I got a favorite. They're not necessarily even matchups per se.
All right.
But I want to see if we can make a case for the underdog in certain spots here, okay?
Sure.
So I'm going to give you my first one. And it's March Madness, the first week of March Madness versus Conference Tournament Week. Can you make the case for Conference Tournament Week at all, or is it just completely squashed by March Madness?
Well, let's start with this. In our lifetimes as sports fans, Adam, we've seen some absolutely incredible conference tournament games and runs. You talk about the UConn runs. You talk about it was UConn Syracuse, right? The 7 OT game. Those are unbelievable games that go down in the annals of history of basketball, of sports, period. Look, Penn State we go on conference tournament runs once every 5 or 6 years. And when we do it, for me as a fan, it's always electric. It's kind of like my March Madness, because it's always with these teams that have no chance of making the tournament unless they win the conference championship. So in those off years where they somehow sneak their way into the semifinals of the championship game, I got to tell you, man, that those runs are fun as a fan. So if I'm going to defend it, that's where I lie my defense is that we've seen some of the most incredible basketball games in our lifetime in conference tournaments, not in March Madness.
Yeah, I think that the conference tournaments have lost luster over the years, and maybe it's just because we've gotten older. But the old Big East tournaments, when it was Pitt and UConn and Syracuse and Notre Dame and Nova and Marquette and Louisville, those tournaments were fantastic from start to finish. And you knew all the players that were playing. Even the ACC, you got and again, it comes down to some of the guys playing 3 or 4 years and building these rivalries. Tyler Hansbrough against Duke, Chris Duhon and those guys, that rivalry, Wayne Ellington in the ACC. And then you had Chris Paul there for a couple of years and the Pittsnoggles of the world. When you were able to build those rivalries over years because these kids were staying in school and not transferring all the time. And, each team wasn't a new team every year. I saw Rick Pitino was on Part of My Take, and I saw a clip on Instagram. He was talking about how much he hates the landscape of college basketball now because he says he's coaching and he's like, I'm going to have 10 new guys next year.
Yeah.
And he's like, and all I have is when I'm done practice is somebody's whispering in my ear, hey, this kid from Duke may be on the move. This kid from North Carolina may be on the move. He talked about some guys he coached. He was talking about the Donovan Mitchells and the Francisco Garcias, the Gorgie Jangs, and there was Russ Smith and those guys who were there for 4 years, and you got to know them.
Yeah.
And you got to know what they were about. And that's what made conference tournaments so awesome, because you're able to build rivalries over the year. It doesn't match up with March Madness now, because March Madness is just fantastic. There's all the betting, the brackets, so on and so forth. But I really miss what conference tournament week used to be.
You hit the nail on the head with the conferences. The realignment and teams moving conferences every friggin' year has just killed conferences. It's killed.
It has.
There's no way it's ever going to come back. And as much as I hate the NCAA as an establishment, because I think they're greedy, and I think just for decades and decades and decades, they've done everything they can to keep the money in their hands. I have to admit that they were right about not letting players transfer without having to sit that year out.
Yep.
The players getting to just move willy-nilly from team to team. And we're seeing it at the high school level, where we might get into talking about a little bit of Philly hoops in a little bit. But even at the high school level now, we see kids that use some of these schools in the Catholic League, these storied franchises. They use them for 2 or 3 years to get their name out there. And then as a junior and a senior, they go to some of these prep schools or some of these IMG Academy schools where they're going to then prepare for the next level. So it's a sin what's happened. I'm sorry. Look, it's all I know is Penn State hoops. Penn State's basketball team this year, all but I think 3 players were new. And the coach was new. I had no idea where to begin as a fan. I didn't know these guys. Ace Baldwin, Kudus Wahab, Puff Johnson. I didn't know any of these guys. Dude, one kid's from UNC. One kid's from, like, I had to relearn the whole team, and I'm probably going to have to do it again next season, and it makes it really hard to be a fan.
Right, because you want to build something.
Yeah. So we're in agreement, though, that this battle was like March Madness opening weekend was like minus like 5 million. Like,
yeah, it was
a favorite.
But conference tournament week, they gave it a run.
We tried our best, but it's literally going up against the best weekend in sports on the sports calendar.
I have one other proposal for you, and this is not fun, Adam, coming here. I am a believer that if you're a 1-bid league, if you win the regular season title, you should get the automatic bid.
That's more important than the conference.
It's not like what's the regular season schedule even for at this point? Might as well just play a tournament at the end of the year, and whoever, you know what I mean? I understand it's their seeding, but you can go 14-2 in your conference and win it by 3 games, and then you go to a tournament, you lose 1 game, and you're out. I don't think that's fair to these small conferences.
You're letting guests' love of European soccer bleed into you a little bit. This is a very Premier League take.
I don't know about that. It's just
I honestly
respect the body of work.
No, I honestly I don't disagree with you, but I think it's just that they want to emphasize the like everything in college basketball is about tournaments. And I think they just want to emphasize that. And they do give, I mean, I know you know this, they give the conference, the season winner, the NIT bid, which, as we know, doesn't really mean much, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, for the small teams, it does. And I think there was one the other night who was like, it was a 15-1 team and they lost it like the 8 seed.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh God, I can't remember who it was.
Yeah,
I was looking at that though. And then also like Indiana State, like, are they still going to get in? Because they didn't win.
They have that. Speaking of Diversa, they have that guy who looks like a little bit like Diversa with the goggles.
he's like if Jokic and Diversa had a baby.
Yeah, they got to get him in just for TV time.
Yeah, they looked like they were pretty safe to get in, but I think a lot, obviously still has to pan out with the rest of these tournaments to see how many bubble spots are left.
Yeah, I got to hold on. My Pitt Panthers are on the far outside looking in. I think they're in the next 4 out. They're going to have to beat at least beat Wake Forest in the tournament. Okay. Which is crazy that they're the 4 seed in the ACC. That's not good enough this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we will see what happens. We'll have some March Madness talk next week for sure as we begin to put our brackets together. All right. I got which month of the year is better for sports, April or October?
This is hard. And I got to be honest. I don't know what's the favorite.
I think it's October. I think in October you got World Series / playoff baseball. You've got football is now in full swing. College football is in full swing. basketball and hockey are about to start. Potentially a Ryder Cup every other year. What am I missing here? College basketball is about to start. Everything.
No, the college basketball doesn't start in October though. College basketball starts like end of November, December.
All right, I'm reaching a little bit.
Yeah, you can't take that.
I can't take that. You're
right. Wait, where's guest? Is Hell in the Cell in October?
But I got to go April. I'm going April.
I'm going April too. I thought April was the favorite.
Maybe April is the favorite. So you get baseball opening day.
Yep.
You have the finish of March Madness.
Yep.
You have the Masters, obviously. Yep. You have the NFL draft.
Yep.
And the hockey and April's the favorite. Hockey and basketball playoffs starting. Is April? April's the best month.
April's the best month. April's the best month. I mean, you could. The only reason you can really make an argument for October is if your team is in it. Like if your team is not in the baseball playoffs, then the baseball playoffs don't really matter, right? And then if it's just the regular season of football, so there's not really anything big there unless like maybe you got some big games stacked up again for your team. But other than that, I mean, I don't really think there's enough firepower in October. But right now, if you're listening to two huge golf fans. So you and I, Adam, we have the Masters probably up there as a top 3 sports event of the year, I would imagine. I mean, for me, it might even be number 1 for me over March Madness.
So I think that when I was putting this together, I completely forgot about the NFL draft. And like between the Masters and the NFL draft, you're going to be one or the other.
Yeah, you're dialed in. Yeah.
So that was a big push for me now that we were talking about it. But yeah, I mean, the Masters is a huge, huge event. And again, basketball playoffs, hockey playoffs are about to start.
Baseball opening day.
Baseball opening day is huge.
Yeah, baseball opening day should be a national holiday, dude.
That's the Final Four.
Yeah.
Yeah. April's the best month.
All right. We see eye to eye then because I didn't know what the underdog was.
I thought it was October, but I was wrong. April's the best.
Yeah. What do we got now?
This was an argument. Now, we had this argument a little bit before, a little bit differently. So, a friend of the pod at Trainer Joe O, 6'6", strong, lanky guy. We were arguing about Caitlin Clark and whether or not in a one-on-one game he could hang. And my initial decision was at 38 years old, where we are now, he stood 0 shot.
Right.
He could not, endurance-wise, he could not stay with her. He hasn't played basketball in years. There's no way he would have that touch. But we shifted the argument to say 24-year-old Trainer Joe O. So again, 6'6", lanky, strong, like a long 6'6", probably 6'10" wingspan. One-on-one with Caitlin Clark. What are your thoughts? Does he take Caitlin Clark?
Wait a minute.
Oh!
Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show. Friend of the pod, Carol Rep Satish is in the building. October is just as good as April. Regular season NFL special opening day MLB is in March.
Valid point.
Little fact check here by our man Satish.
That's a Tony Reale stat boy correction at the end of PTI.
Stat boy.
So you gotta take opening day off. He's right.
We're gonna have to revisit that because that was a big piece of that puzzle for taking April.
Yeah, but I think NFL draft still. I'm not a draft guy, but a lot of people are.
Yeah, no, I'm not really a draft guy either. I like the first round. I like listening to all the picks.
So long.
It is long. Well, what makes it long is now every pick is by you know what I mean, like the first ever punter for the Los Angeles Chargers is in the building to make the pick. And the grandmother of the winner of a contest on Instagram is here to make the pick. Listen, let's get back to the Joe versus Caitlin Clark argument. Did you see the video that went viral not too long ago of the WNBA player? And I don't remember who it was. Who posted she was playing against guys at like the local gym. And like these were in shape guys. Like these weren't just like us. You know what I mean? These were 20-year-old guys. and she dusted them. Like,
I have a counter to that.
is it the height?
No, I have a counter is I think if it was 2-on-2 or 5-on-5, the guys get cooked because she can use screens. She can get around screens. She knows how to pass, pocket pass. She knows how to play the game. But in a one-on-one, that athleticism and that strength becomes a lot more. There's nowhere to hide at that point. There's no screens to go around at that point. That's where my argument comes in.
You got Joe.
I got Joe at age 24.
Right.
I don't have Joe now. Joe couldn't stand a chance. She would light him up. And to be fair, like, I don't have me at age 24. I would get smoked. I'm not saying I could do it. I'm talking about the 6'6", 6'10" wingspan with strength. I don't think she could shake him on offense. I don't think she'd get I know she doesn't need a lot of good looks, but I don't think she could get a very good look off.
I think it's important to note. Are you talking make it take it?
Yeah, let's play make it take it. One-on-one rules.
Okay, make it take it. Game to what?
Game to 16. No, we'll play 21 and we'll play ones and twos. We'll give her the twos. We'll put that in for her. Men's basketball, though.
I can't take Joe.
How's she going to get shots off?
I can't take Joe. It's because I've had this argument now for about 20 years with another friend. Sean Quigley stands at 6'5". He's bigger than Joe, a bigger body than Joe. But I used to have the same argument with him about him playing one-on-one against Sue Bird. And I used to tell him that Sue Bird would dust him. And so I can't say that Joe would beat Caitlin Clark. But
it's different, though, because even though Quiggs was a better, probably offensive player than Joe, he was slow and lazy, and she would dust him. Like that's
we're gonna clip this.
Yeah, well, that's the truth. He was like Joe was a more athletic, defensive, longer player than Quiggs.
Yeah, well, to be fair to me, I've never seen Joe play basketball. I've never seen his
body and his shit. Like,
no, I've seen him. I've never seen him do anything athletic, though. And I'm not saying he's not athletic. He's obviously athletic.
Yeah.
I've never seen him play basketball. I'm going to take Caitlin Clark, dude. This is the all-time leading point scorer in NCAA history. I can't disrespect her like that.
Again, I'm saying if it's 2-on-2, she's going to wipe the floor with him. But I just don't think in that one-on-one setting, that's advantage Caitlin. I just don't see that.
What's situation. His path to victory? Just out-rebounds the hell out of her. Just she can't get a shot over him.
No, I think it's just swarming her defensively.
Yeah, I just think she's going to have an answer for that. Like I can't imagine a world in which she hasn't trained and practiced against men that are bigger than her.
Agreed, but I don't know how she succeeded in those matchups.
I think she beats him. I think she beats him, but I think she beats him. I don't want to say easily, but I don't think she sweats.
That's crazy.
Dude, against just a run-of-the-mill guy. We need dude, that. When are they going to bring Joe's versus Pros back? When are they going to bring that back?
People used to get hurt in that show.
Yeah, as they should have. Because you know what, man? Those guys that played against them, they got pride too. And they rightfully so were just burying those guys with those big mouths. I just think that she is so good offensively. She's going to shoot something like 70% from the field against Joe.
No way. Not possible.
Yes, she absolutely will.
You're out of your mind.
She's going to find a way. She's going to have better footwork. She's going to have better handling. She's going to take better angles. She's going to get better shots. She's going to know how to get them in the air. I can't see. Dude, she's got like I got Caitlin Clark. Satish, who do you got?
Yeah, let us know in the chat what you think.
Or the Eagles trainer, the tall dude with the mustache. Who do you got?
All right, listen, before Chris gets on for segment 3 as he is checking in, it's time to squeeze in a little golf talk.
Got to do it.
The Players Championship this weekend. TPC Sawgrass, one of the most recognizable courses in the world. As Chris gets on here. Chris, you're on just in time for some TPC Sawgrass. Actually, let's take it back because I want to ask you the question as somebody.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the Road to WrestleMania segment.
Wait a
What do you
wait
think
a
about
minute.
this?
Wait a minute. That's part of April, Seltzer.
That's not a sport. It's sports entertainment.
Satish has Caitlin Clark.
Yo,
Oh, I don't even want. You know what?
no. Hear it out.
I
One-on-one.
thought I missed this segment.
One-on-one. Caitlin Clark versus prime trainer Joe O.
This is a stupid ass question.
How is it
Caitlin
stupid?
Clark. What do you mean? She's the best player in fucking
But
women's basketball history.
My argument was this: if it was 2-on-2, she would dust. In a one-on-one segment, him defensively could swarm her.
No.
One-on-one.
That's literally moronic.
How is it moronic?
Because that's such a chauvinist, stupid
No, it's
male
not.
view.
I'm
yes,
being
it
practical
is.
about it.
There's
I'm not
literally
disrespecting how
NBA
great she
players
is.
who play with this girl. You think Joe's going to stop her?
Yes.
There's NBA players that can't.
Like who?
All right. Are we ready to move? I don't even want any part of this segment.
Buddy
This is
Hield? That's
embarrassing.
I'll take it.
This is embarrassing. No, I'm not even talking about this.
We got to set it up. Somebody call it
Set
in.
that up.
We can't
It's a
now.
waste of time.
It's purely hypothetical at this point. We're
Yes,
talking about 24. I admitted that the current version of Trainer Joe O could not hang. No chance.
I literally saw this on the docket and rolled my eyes.
Listen, you're at
You see you saw what I wrote on it. WTF.
I thought it was. I figured it was you writing up. I didn't know if Seltzer was just writing it like just to mess around. I didn't know what was going on, but
I stand by my.
You can stand by it all you want. You'd be a lonely ass.
Seltzer's just pandering to get him on the show.
Nah.
He's not going to come on if we all say.
I've been friends with Joe since we were 6 years old, and since when he was my height back in 1992. All right.
Listen,
but he ain't beating Caitlin Clark in a basketball game.
Guess on the same token, who you got, Sue Bird or Quiggs?
Right.
Because I've been having that argument for 20 years.
It was Sue Bird. All these girls are professional athletes.
I said Sue Bird too.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
All right, Al, give me some quick picks for the Players Championship and maybe a sleeper before we jump into segment 3.
All right. So this season, Adam, I know you've been following. If you're listening at home and you haven't been following the PGA Tour, it's in shambles. You got a bunch of no-name guys that are winning every week. It's guys you've never heard of. It's Jake Knapp is winning the PGA Tour on the PGA Tour. Look, if you want 3 picks real quick, I'll give you a 30, a 40, and a 50-1. If I recall correctly, I got Will Zalatoris. His form has been fantastic. I got my boy, and this is obviously a homer pick, I guess you could call it. Jason Day, he's my 50-1 pick, but he's won there before. He knows how to get around in Florida. And then Sam Burns is my 40-1 pick. But I got to be honest, guys, now's the time to just pick a guy that's like 200-1 and throw $10 on him and hope you win $2,000.
You mentioned a bunch of no names that have been winning. That was until last week when Scotty Scheffler all of a sudden found out how to roll the ball. Yeah. And if Scotty Scheffler rolls the ball at all, it's a wrap.
Back to back.
I mean, it has to be. Quick stat for you guys. Before last week, when he was really struggling with the putter, Scotty Scheffler was hitting 80% of his greens in regulation, which is an absurd number of greens in regulation to be hitting. That's his ball striking. He was also hitting 80% of putts from 4 feet. So his percentage of hitting greens in regulation was the same as him making a putt from 4 feet.
I saw one putt at one point. He had like 8 1-putts in a row too.
Well, he changed the putter last week.
Yeah, I saw the mallet.
Yeah.
But that's insane though. 8 1-putts in a row. That's crazy.
That's. I also have a sleeper. Russell Henley strikes the ball well, likes Florida golf. Hideki Matsuyama always plays well there, and Brian Harmon as well. Brian Harmon's another guy who seems to fit the mold of a guy.
The question is, could what's his name? Russell Henley?
Yeah.
Could he beat NBC 10's Bill Henley?
In what?
Basketball.
In poker.
The undercard of this. Imagine a world where you've been on a 12-hour shift, all right, and you come home, and the first question you get is, but seriously, could Joe beat Caitlin Clark?
Yes. What's the better month for sports, April or October?
For me, I would say, That's a tough question. I think I'm leaning October, but I could be swayed.
We both said April.
Yeah, I could be swayed. I mean, October, obviously I'm a bigger football guy than you guys are. So football is going into that equation for me. Playoff baseball, basketball season starting. You got hope in there. Hockey season too for those for hockey folks.
But we said playoff baseball isn't really a great thing unless your team's in it.
I was going to say April. Everybody has hope for baseball. So
you got baseball, but we screwed up because we said opening day, but opening day is technically March, so we can't count.
Yeah,
that.
Nowadays, you got springtime is starting to pop off. NBA playoffs around the corner.
You got
Final starting in April.
Yeah. Final four, NFL draft.
Yeah, you know what?
And
I might go with April. I might go with April.
Well, and guess for you got like the UEFA. Is the UEFA Cup in April? The UEFA trophy?
Yeah, but the UEFA
the UEFA Bowl.
The UEFA Bowl. The UEFA season is more in just April, but you have the tail end of the Premier.
Is that the
Premier
end?
League?
Is that the end of the league in April?
It ends in like mid-May, but you're getting in like to the nitty-gritty by that point. Yeah, I would probably go April. More I think about it, I'll probably go April too. Yeah, you made it a sweep.
So you find out who's going to get the Ballon d'Or.
Ballon d'Or. You got what was it? What was I just going to say? The UFL season coming up, the first annual United football in the springtime. Is that what it's called? United Football League now? It's with USFL and XFL combined.
Guess who do you got winning 1-on-1 in a soccer match? Alex Morgan or Sean Carey in high school?
Or Alex Seltzer is also a candidate for that one.
All right, let's jump to segment.
Move us along, Seltzer.
Yeah, please.
Let's move to segment 3. We're going to go to the second version of cap or no cap. Chris has hosted this before. It was a blast. But Chris, let me try one on you first.
All right.
Cap or no cap? For the second straight game, the Sixers have failed to score 80 points.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just got home a little bit ago. I saw the tail end of what's going on. So I would say that's probably no cap.
That's no cap. 79 for the second straight night.
Cap or no cap, they gave up a triple-double to Josh Hart.
No cap.
Oh my God.
Unfortunately, that's
cap or no cap. Tobias Harris had 2 points.
Did he? Oh my God! Please tell me that's cap.
No cap.
2 points.
2 points.
He can't get. You talk about April being the end of the basketball season. Get some of them dudes out of there.
I can't wait.
That's something to look forward to.
I can't
my
wait.
God.
All right, let's go have some fun here.
All right. So as you know, anybody that doesn't know, cap or no cap is that's the slang for kids these days. For all us OG, it's basically lie or not a lie. Is it true or not? True or false, so to speak. So I'm going to read a headline, and you guys are going to tell me if it is true, which would mean it was no cap, or if it was a lie and not real, which would be a cap. All right. So the first one, and I apologize. I was doing this on some downtime earlier, and I had it on a Google Slides, and I ended up having it sent to myself via PDF, and it didn't translate well. So I'm just going to kind of do it verbally here. Cap or no cap, competition in Dubai calls for participants to race in real-life Ironman suits through Dubai skyscrapers.
I'm going to say that's no cap. That seems like a hilarious activity that I would actually love to see.
What do you think, Al?
I think it's no cap also, and I was thinking that it's part of the whole. They're trying to be more one with the Western world, so drawing attention to the Marvel universe and that kind of thing. So I also was thinking no cap initially.
Well, speaking of Marvel Universe, as a lot of people know, Dubai is a place that kind of really just suspends reality with all the crazy things they have there, like the tallest building in the world and all this stuff now. Also going to host or house the WWE experience, which no one really knows still what that means. As far as if it's a Hall of Fame location, is it a theme park? We don't really know, but it's supposed to be either in Dubai or Saudi Arabia. But nonetheless, for this question, it is no cap. In the United Arab Emirates, where Dubai is, they did have a first ever jet suit race in which racers zipped along a route with the skyscrapers of Dubai Marina looming behind them. Guys, these guys were going as fast as 80 miles an hour in these jetpacks.
This isn't a real
1,500
race.
horsepower jet suits. Can you imagine?
What the hell? This isn't a real race. What is this?
1,500 horsepower jet suits, which are more powerful than most luxury sports cars and using the same kind of fuel used by Dubai-based long-haul carrier Emirates Airbus A380s and the Boeing 777 aircrafts.
All right, that's all.
All on somebody's back.
I want to hear more about this WWE experience. Like, can I get a stink face? Can I go and
I'm also trying to find out more information about it. I don't know when it's opening or if it's I don't know. But my thing is enough with. Well, that's another segment for another time. But the stuff that's going on over there with the Middle East, it's like, what are we doing? Why can't we get that kind of stuff here in America? You know what I mean? Where it all started at. But anyway, cap or no cap? Here's number 2. Cap or no cap? 2 4-year-old kids were expelled from a daycare center in Utah when they were caught kissing.
I think that's cap. I don't like some of the verbiage used in that. I think it would have been a little more cleaned up, a little more buttoned up.
I agree. Although you have to worry about some, the Utah people, they have different morals over there. You remember the former processor Brandon Davies was kicked off of BYU's basketball team for having sex, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So that is good work by you two gentlemen. It is cap. I was trying to throw you off with the Utah thing. Seltzer almost bit the bullet.
Yeah, I nibbled at the cheese.
Yeah.
I didn't think he answered yet. I thought you jumped the gun there.
No, I was
he
going
said
with no cap. I was going with cap.
Yeah, he said it. And also just that kind of thought. It actually goes, it's autobiographical as a young 4-year-old Chris Guest did kiss a girl in daycare at one point in time, was not suspended.
Wait, do we know who that girl is? I feel like I've heard this story before.
Oh, no, it's nobody.
Okay.
No, somebody from, I don't even know where they're at nowadays. All right, so number 3, cap or no cap, underground Oscars party in Toronto where only men named Oscar were invited to attend, shut down by immigration refugees and Citizen Canada, which is equivalent to ICE here in the United States for immigration. So underground Oscars party only for Oscars, men named Oscar, shut down by the immigration in Canada.
So here's my question, a clarification question. What if it was Oscar with a K?
Cap or no cap?
I'm gonna go with cap. Seems like it was made up. You seem to know a lot about, what did you call it? Canadian. What was the thing at the end?
Immigration, refugees, and Citizen Canada.
Citizenship Canada,
which is the IRCC for short.
I'm gonna go with cap.
I'm trying to find online right now. There was and I think it's still pretty popular, a gathering in the U.S. that was started by like a few guys of the same name, and I can't remember what the name is. And every year there's a gathering of anyone with this name. I want to say it's like Keith or Jeff or something. And they all get together and just have a big ass party in this big field. But the only requirement is you got to have that name. You got to show proper documentation that you indeed have that name. So I want this to be no cap so bad that I'm gonna go ahead and say no cap.
All right, so we're gonna split here on this one. It is cap.
Oh, come on, Oscars.
It is cap. I tried to throw it out there a little bit to confuse you, to have it in Toronto and have the IRCC in there. But no, that was made up part of the Chris Guest imagination. But I mean, I could see that happening though, couldn't you? Like that, I could see something like that going on somewhere. A bunch of Oscars watching the Oscars.
Is there enough Oscars in Canada to make that happen?
I mean, is there enough Oscars anywhere
in the world? Yeah, there's enough in the world.
I mean, only Oscar I know is Office alum Oscar Nunez.
Oscar de la Hoya.
Oh yeah, De La Hoya too. Yep, Oscar
Oscar
the
the
Grouch.
Grouch.
Yeah. What was the guy?
And on the Flyers, but it's an Oscar.
Oh, Oscar
Oscars.
Lindblom.
Pistorius.
Oh yeah.
Woo! That's a lit party all of a sudden.
Isn't he still locked up?
No, I think he's. I don't know. I don't know.
He went for murder.
Yeah, that was a rough. Yeah, he stabbed his lady like 20 something times and tried to say it was an accident.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if he's still in jail or not. Prison
All
term.
right, so that was Cap. So you guys ready for the next one?
Yeah, that's a hell of a name, Oscar. Go ahead.
What wasn't Cap was that there is a gathering for folks named Academy watching the Academy Awards. No, I'm just kidding.
What about Oscar Mayer?
Oscar Mayer. Imagine being the guy checking the IDs at that party.
You have some serious balls to fake your name to get into that type of party. That's
who flies there for that party.
Yeah, I should have known. I let my heart get in the way of my head.
Yeah, like I'm Oscar Williams. I'm coming for the Oscar party in Toronto. Okay. So cap or no cap? Wait a minute, my thing's messed up. Illinois teacher boycotts standardized testing with his 7th grade students and shows the Last Stand documentary instead.
The last what? Last Dance?
Last Dance. I mean, sorry, Last Dance documentary.
Well, you screwed up the headlines.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and say cap.
It has been revealed, fans.
Yeah, I'm gonna go cap as well.
I was hoping to pray there on for Al as the other teacher in the group here with PSSAs around the corner. I have a practice on Thursday for that. That's gonna be a fun time. But yes, that is cap. And again, if my screen had worked correctly, I had the Michael Jordan meme that says, and I took that personally. Michael Jordan might be not only one of the greatest the greatest best player of all time. He might be one of the greatest meme characters of all time now at this point.
Yeah, crying Jordan, and I took that personally.
Dude, his me and the F them kids one is out there.
And even the one with playing quarters against the guy. In the documentary.
Yeah, there's a lot of good Jordan memes out there.
Yeah.
All right, here's one. First annual Florida Man Games spectacle held in St. Augustine. First annual Florida Man Games spectacle held in St. Augustine.
I'll go no cap. We're due for a no cap. It seems realistic. It's surprising it's the first annual Man Games. I feel like should have been Man Games somewhere else. I'll go no cap.
Yeah, I'm also going no cap because this sounds like a play on the whole, like, it's become popular in the last, 5 or 6 years, Florida Man memes, where they have those crazy headlines from Florida. And so it's made out to be that Florida Man is just like this anti-superhero that just gets into all kinds of crazy shit.
I haven't seen any of that.
Oh,
Really?
yeah, it's pretty amusing. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, so it actually started. I looked this up. It is no cap. All right. But the Florida Man gimmick actually is now going on its 11th year.
Yeah.
It started in 2013, just poking fun at folks in Florida for outlandish news stories, including some all-star ones that would feature. I'm trying to think of ones I was reading earlier. A guy in Florida Man. Everybody's Florida Man now at this point. That's standard for these stories. Florida Man tries to buy McDonald's with weed. In a bizarre trade-off. A Florida Man also biting an alligator back after being in its yard. All kind of crazy stuff. But it is no cap. Believe it or not, it's getting harder and harder to imagine Florida is actually in the United States at this point. But it is promoted as the most insane athletic showdown on earth. The Florida Man Games poke fun at the state's reputation for bizarre stories that involve brawling, drinking, gunfire, reptile wrangling, and other antics carrying a risk of time in jail or time in the ICU. So we got to take some time for this because this was hilarious. All right. So they started off the event with an electric guitar playing of the Star Spangled Banner, of course. And then it says spectators sipped on canned beers behind metal barricades, cheering and frequently shouting expletives as dozens of teams battled in contests inspired by real events from America's most surreal state. So the guy who won the first event, James Gordon of DeLand, Florida, wolfed down a plate loaded with barbecue pork and sausage a fraction of a second before his nearest competitor, and in celebration, they chugged a beer together. The most insane things happened on this contest. They had, first of all, people paid to go to it. It was a $45 per ticket event.
That's time away from the family. That's nothing.
Now that's a pretty penny anywhere, but in Florida especially, that's a nice little outing for a family. So $45. The guy who started it was actually shocked that no one ever trademarked it before he could, and was expecting to sell over 5,000 tickets. So there's in the article there was a story, or part in the story about two young ladies, a daughter and a mother combo, who got tickets for a Christmas gift from their boss, along with a case of vodka. So that's a pretty good come up. A case of vodka with two Florida Man games tickets.
The Florida Man games.
So that's a pretty good thing there. One of the judges, if you remember American Gladiators, was Ice.
Oh,
former American Gladiator competitor. She was one of the judges, and also is now pushing for a Florida Woman Games as the only event now, as of now, for women is the Florida Pinup competition, which I'm imagining is probably the prettiest pig in the barn.
Do you remember the American Gladiator who was deaf?
Siren.
That's a good pull.
That's good American Gladiator knowledge by you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. My favorite thing from this story was there was a guy who trained for one of the events by riding a bicycle with a bicycle attached to his back. And then he finished the race, winning the race, but he finished by carrying both bikes because he couldn't ride the bike with the bike on his back. So he finished carrying two bikes.
You ever see that meme? Or it's not really a meme. It's like a question somebody asks. It's like, what's classy if you're rich and trashy if you're poor? And the top answer was Florida.
Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, the whole story is hilarious. We could spend a whole segment on it. The funniest thing I thought about it was, again, with the guy who started it, said that he wanted to have nudity and profanity, but that was frowned upon and prohibited by the local government. So they could do all the other crazy stuff they did, but when it came to nudity and profanity, they were not interested. They wouldn't do it. Some of the names of the groups that were participating also were pretty hilarious. The Cooter Commandos, they made an appearance in the competition.
They made an appearance in the WWE Experience as well. I heard
they might. I'm really confused, or not confused. I'm really interested to see what that Florida Ma'am pinup contest would have consisted of. Who would have been in that?
It's a great name.
Yeah, the Florida Ma'am.
Florida Ma'am.
All right, so
here's with the next one.
Yeah. So moving on, we got soccer star in Morocco refuses to join club that purchased him because of lack of personal female fan support. Is that cap or no cap?
I'm going to say
that's Morocco.
I'm going to say cap.
Al, what do you think?
Soccer.
How many more do we have here? Because I think it's cap also.
We got about 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go. My gut. I think that's cap.
So soccer star Morocco refusing to join club due to the fact that he didn't have enough female fans. That is cap. That is cap. Playing off of Ronaldo, who can at this point basically have any woman in the world he wants. And you know what? From what I've been told, soccer players are the most appealing to the female eye, apparently, of any other athletes.
Look,
so there's that.
Complete. They got a good build.
They do. They're in good shape.
Build because all they do is run around. They got a good build. You know what I mean? They got all right. Move on.
And the American football players, they might be a little bit too intimidating to the ladies with their big brawn bodies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, football players are aliens, right? And so are basketball players at this point.
Yeah.
Right. And then somebody else jump in here and say what you think. I don't want to lead this conversation.
You're running good. I hear you.
And I think baseball players and hockey players are very niche, very, very niche to the women.
Yeah.
Right. Like women, like certain women love baseball players, certain women love hockey players.
Yeah.
But soccer players, I do feel like are just generally probably going to be the most appealing.
Yeah.
To the masses.
I would agree. All right. Cap or no cap, caught at a border with pythons in his pants. Is there a snake in your pocket? Or are you happy to see me? New York City man fined and sentenced to probation. So caught at border with pythons in his pants, a New York City man fined and sentenced to probation. Is that cap or no cap?
Didn't you have something similar to this in the first edition with like a woman, and like I can't remember what the headline was.
I'm going cap again, even though we're due for a no cap.
I feel like you had something similar to this. I'm going to say it's no cap though. I think this might be real.
Al, you would be correct. It is no cap. A New York City man who admitted to smuggling 3 Burmese pythons in his pants through the U.S.-Canadian border was sentenced to a year probation and fined $5,000. So this guy went into New York through, I think it was Albany, the northern New York area, and had adult snakes hidden in the inner thighs of his pants.
How?
Pause. Adult snakes hidden in the inner thigh of his pants, live, mind you, in snake bags tied to the pants drawstrings. Now here's where the L takes place. The snakes cost more than $2,500 at a Canadian reptile store. However, obviously, trying to get it in the country was a fail. He was fined $5,000. So he actually paid double for the fine than he did for the rare Burmese pythons themselves. And the funny thing about it is there is actually a regulation by the U.S. Importation of Burmese pythons is regulated by an international treaty and by U.S. federal regulations listing them as, quote, injurious to human beings. So first of all, that's the first time I've ever heard of that word, injurious.
Yeah.
Which does mean harmful or can potentially cause injury to the humans. The best thing about this story was the end, which says that Calvin Batista, who was the man that was trying to smother the snakes, his lawyer had no comment. He's like, hey man, you got us. Like, he had the snakes. What do you want me to do?
Make that case.
It's so funny. People with certain, I can't do the snakes. I was just watching the other day, actually the WWE Rivals on A&E, if you've caught any of these, and they had the Macho Man versus Jake the Snake Roberts.
Cobra.
Yeah.
And when Jake the Snake had his snake.
No, not Damien. It was Lucifer. It was Lucifer.
At the time, yeah, I think they was before. Yeah. Bite Macho Man actually in the match on his arm. Now, the story behind it is hilarious. If you get a chance to hear it or check it out, I would. But basically, long story short, Macho Man, before they went out there, didn't trust Jake the Snake that he wouldn't have made a poisonous snake bite him in the arm. And he literally was like, as Macho Man only could, oh yeah, Jake Snake Man, I think I need to see you get the bite first before I take it, brother. I'm not selling it without you selling it first, brother. And he had to literally make the snake bite him behind the scenes before they did it live on the show. And Jake the Snake's he said that Macho Man watched him for 20 minutes or like 20 minutes or something like that to make sure he didn't pass out or get sick or get injured from the venom from the snake. At which point, when he realized he was cool, he's like, oh yeah, Snake Man, we can do it, brother. I'll take it. I'll sell it.
I'll do this, brother.
It's hilarious. It was a hilarious story. But yeah, so that was no cap. All right, so we have let me do these quick ones real quick. Cap or no cap, Alabama woman handcuffs a skunk to a bar ledge and vows to not go home until Trump wins presidential election.
I got
So
Cap.
she
Yeah.
handcuffed the skunk to the ledge in the bar.
I'm
Now
going
you
Cap.
can imagine the danger in that.
Yeah.
I got Cap. There's a lot of moving parts in this one.
Yeah. I got
There's
Cap.
lots going on.
So that is Cap.
Yeah.
But again, would you be surprised in Alabama, especially?
No, it wouldn't be surprising. Absolutely not.
At first, I was going to say that she was going to handcuff herself, but then I thought about the funny antics of having a skunk in a bar in Alabama, like handcuffed to the bar ledge, and the people that would be in there with the danger of waiting for that skunk to spray everybody.
Spray yourself.
Well,
That would be hilarious.
Speaking of skunks, guests, today at my school, a kid brought those little glass stink bombs and threw one in one of the hallways. So that was the all the rage today. My building.
What grade was that?
I don't know what grade the kid was in. I think they might have been a 6th grader.
Yeah, that's rough, man. Woo. Gross.
Yeah, those things
All right,
stink.
we're gonna stay with the animal theme, and a stingray in North Carolina aquarium becomes pregnant despite having no known mate.
I'm gonna go no cap on that.
I'm going to go no cap as well. I know this is true.
All right, so yeah, it is. Al, you reading the animal stories this week, bro?
This was a pretty big story, and it was also parodied on SNL this past week. Yeah.
So yeah, it is no cap. Charlotte, a rust-colored stingray the size of a serving platter, was in a storefront aquarium in North Carolina's Appalachian Mountains. When people that worked there thought she actually had a cancerous tumor, they found out after doing testing that she was actually pregnant. And there was a little bit of a controversy as they thought that it might have been an interspecies hookup before scientists quickly came in and nipped that in the bud and said that it would literally be impossible because there was a few sharks that were in the tank. But
some pushy ass scientists gets in there all
yeah,
no,
they weren't having that.
They didn't want the shark ray.
No, the shark ray or the I
sting
guess
shark.
Sting shark. Yeah.
Probably just some dude named Oscar.
He might, on his way back from having the snakes in his pocket when he came home. So that is no cap. And then we have last but not least, dog of custom. This got really animalistic all of a sudden, this segment. Dog of customs agent in Boston sniffs out dead monkeys in passenger's bag.
I'm gonna say no cap.
I think that's cap.
Now you're saying cap for this one?
Yeah.
Seltzer, you got it. It is no cap. This is true. So if you remember from the previous segment, this is probably what you were thinking about, Al. We had the story where the person was smuggling feces from Africa.
That is what I was thinking. Yeah.
This one also from Africa, where this guy, a U.S. Customs and Border Protection dog, sniffed out something unusual in the luggage from a traveler returning from Congo. The passenger had originally said that they were that the luggage contained dried fish, but an inspection at Logan International Airport revealed dead and dehydrated bodies of 4 monkeys. To which the guy said later on, Ryan Bissett, his name was, I think that's a spokesperson. But anyway, the traveler said he brought the monkeys into the U.S. for his own consumption.
Oh my God.
Now here's where it gets gross. So apparently, raw or minimally processed meat from any wild animal is referred to as bushmeat. And bushmeat is banned in the U.S. because of the threat of disease. So the potential dangers posed by bringing bushmeat, I'm going to keep saying bushmeat, into the United States are real, as bushmeat can carry germs that cause illness, including the Ebola virus. However, no charges were filed, but all the luggage was seized, and nearly 9 pounds of the bushmeat were marked for destruction by the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So I don't know who the guy was at the dispose of the 9 pounds of bushmeat, but Somebody had to do it. Dirty job, but someone
Like,
had to do it.
thankfully, that dog was there because if not, that guy was going to get away with it. Is what you're saying?
Possibly. I mean, it makes you wonder. Like, this is not the first story we've had that was no cap that's related to this. How many of these guys get away with it? Whatever they're bringing in.
That's unsettling. And real quick, if you guys see me jump out of my chair, I just noticed this big ass spider. Can you guys see that spider?
This is a live look, fans.
Dude, that spider is enormous. I know the camera probably isn't doing it justice.
Go step on it.
No, man, you got to keep house spiders.
Yeah, you got to keep the spiders, man.
Keep
They
them.
They
eat
eat everything.
the other bugs.
This dude's probably eating all the crickets down here. That's why he's so big.
Yeah, I learned. Yeah, I've learned.
Yeah,
that.
I don't ever kill house spiders.
I don't mess with them.
Meanwhile, this just in a new news story. Spider freaks the hell out of podcast host live on air.
So listen, I don't want to get back into this full conversation, full swing, but a buddy of mine who is actually not listening to the podcast, I had to confirm that, sent to me right before this segment started a Instagram post from Hoops Nation who ran a poll saying if the one-on-one right now, Caitlin Clark and Ben Simmons, who would win? And 75% of people took Caitlin Clark, which is insane.
So then you're telling me you think that not only could Joe beat Caitlin Clark, but he could also beat Ben Simmons?
No, I'm taking Ben Simmons.
So you still think Ben Simmons now?
Ben would swallow her. I mean, assuming before his back surgery, if he could move, he would swallow her.
I hate Ben Simmons more than any athlete in the history of the world, and he would crush Caitlin Clark. You got to be
You gotta remember too. Ben was owning Luka Doncic for a while.
Yeah, Ben defensively is an all defensive NBA player, and he's huge. He would swallow her.
Yeah, no, I would. You'd have to say that Ben would win that.
Maybe if we're talking about like 45-year-old Ben Simmons or like 55-year-old Ben Simmons, and that's not to be disrespectful to Caitlin Clark, but he's still a professional basketball player.
Well, does Ben with the alleged nerve impingements now? Does he still win that game? You think?
Well, I mean,
right. Well, who knows?
Yeah.
If he can even play.
If he's, I mean, is it a real thing? I mean, is this guy really ruined,
I told you
or
he
is this
retired.
still just a money grab?
I made a prediction a while ago. I think he retires once his contract's up. So
funny enough, a couple years back when the Sixers were going through the whole thing with him, there was a poll about odds about what team would be the team where Ben would play his next game. And even though it didn't win technically, but the Shanghai Sharks was not that low on that list, if you remember. All of a sudden, that might be a realistic possibility for the next destination.
I don't think he wants to play basketball anymore. I don't know. I don't think he would go there
anymore. He never did.
Right. Correct.
Never did.
Correct.
That might be a pretty fun team to watch in Taiwan, though, with
him and Justin Fields.
And and on that note, drop that beat.
Drop that beat.